Welcome to the Little Bit of Life podcast, the podcast that goes beyond the polished posts and into the heart of real stories. I'm your host, Tabitha, better known as Little on social media. Think you've seen it all, heard it all? Not quite. Here, we're diving into those unfiltered, real, and sometimes unexpected conversations that we all think about but rarely say out loud. Along the way, I'll be joined by special guests who have left a mark on my journey, adding fresh perspectives and unforgettable insights. So kick back, relax, and let this be your moment. You've earned it. Let's dive into today's story, one word, one revelation at a time. Hey everybody, welcome in a Little Bit of Life podcast right here with your host, Little. We have on a guest that he has been on before, but guess what? Today's a little different with quite a few surprises, so hang in there with us. We have Michael from Canine, Botanical, Enlightenment, Canine Health. Good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, Tabitha. Thank you for having me on again.
I'm very excited. We've had you on talking about human health. That's how we kind of got started because as humans, we love to take care of ourselves. We usually have sleep issues. We usually have gut issues. There's always something with us as humans that we have issues with. But we have you on today because we're talking about the health of your canine. And this is something we're all very passionate about. So can you give us kind of how you got started in this and why?
Yeah, absolutely. It led into something good and there was a positive from it. So as I grew up, I started doing more research, finding more holistic ways to treat cancer. And we started our company, Botanical Enlightenment, 4 years ago on the human health side, focusing on helping people heal naturally from cancer. And then last year, we launched our canine health products, focusing on our furry friends, helping our dogs. And that's another thing too. I've had dogs that have gotten cancer before, and it's something that's I'm very passionate about, and something that we do that's a lot different than any canine health supplement company out there is that we use the same standards for all of our human products. We test for pesticides and heavy metals and mycotoxins and harmful microbials for all of our products, right? We use human grade ingredients, and that's something that a lot of these pet companies don't do. They don't test for those things because they use subpar ingredients that aren't going to pass. And it's really unfortunate. However, we got Howie Mandel's endorsement. And the only reason why we got that was because we tested for it. He's a germaphobe and he has OCD and he's very particular about what he takes and ingests, and also same for his dogs. And we were one of the only companies that they found that tested for all these harmful things. So my passion for health in both humans and dogs really led me to this point. So
Congratulations with Howie Mandel, because as you said, we've seen him. He's written a book about it. He doesn't shake hands with anybody. He's very strict on himself. So yeah, I would assume now he would be that way with his dogs. We always state this as pet owners. And the number one thing when we sit and reflect, for those that are listening, I had my boy that passed it too. Just in February, my senior, I got her to 14 and a half years old. She was almost 80 pounds when she passed. She was fantastic. But we always look back and think, and we always say, if only they lived as long as we do, if only we could extend their time. And this is something I wanted to have you on to talk about kind of each product and share why this is such a huge excitement moment for me as well, working with you guys. Is because we always want more time. But maybe those that are listening, and I love that you're talking about the ingredients, because we can go to a local pet store, Petco, PetSmart. We can go on Chewy.com. We can order something. But I am the first to admit I wouldn't know where to start in regards to what ingredients I should be focusing on for my dogs, what's something I should steer away from. And that's really where Botanical Enlightenment Canine Health comes from, is because there are no hidden secrets. There's nothing in the shadows of what ingredients you're using and the scientific base that comes behind it, which I love.
Yeah, we don't use any fillers. We don't use any synthetic ingredients. None of the stuff that we have comes from China. It's all sourced here in the United States. I personally know the grower of our mushroom extracts. I visited their facility. So everything that we put in our products, we stand behind, and we have to. And it's a little confusing out there because even if a product says organic, it doesn't necessarily mean it's organic. because organic certification they don't test the products with the organic certification. And it's really unfortunate because there's over 200 synthetic ingredients that can be used in organic products. If you look on the website, you can see that whole list. And in a way, it is kind of like a bait and switch, giving people false confidence. So we did something with our products called Core 4 testing, which I already, talked about heavy metals, mycotoxins, microbials, pesticides, and, the main things that are in products that we don't want in products. So, and another thing that is confusing out there is that if a product says third party tested, it doesn't mean that it's tested for safety. All it means is it's tested that the ingredients on the label are in the product. That's what they're testing for. They're not testing for safety. So third party tested also is kind of like a bait and switch as well. So you have to be
I know
very
everyone
careful.
listening is running to your cabinets right now. You're running to your container that you have everything for your dogs and you're looking for these labels. Trust me, because when I first heard about this, that was the first thing I did. I think we're very naive, but it's not something to beat yourself up about or feel guilty. It's just something we're not truly educated on.
Sure.
But we should be, because our health of our dogs, for many, I mean, for myself included, we're seeing this uprising of people are not having human children. Our dogs are our children. So if you're giving your child a vitamin, why are you not giving your dog a vitamin? And really, like, what is in that vitamin? What is in the supplements that you're giving your canine? So I want to go into the products because I have a multi-purpose, multi-age household. All of my dogs are the epitome of if it could happen, it would. But I think it's amazing because I have an age range. I had an age range for a very, very long time. Rupert passed at 2, and at that time, Adeline was 10. So for me to go get one product for one age group, it didn't work for me. And one dog may have, certain medical issues that you're dealing with, a vet, medication, stuff like that. So you're literally encompassing from the time they're a puppy until senior and everything in between with products made for everyone. So I want to go into the big one that's coming up with the dogs, gut health. We have so many people that their dogs have an issue with their gut. We're thinking, go get something probiotic. It's usually what's given to us at a vet, or you can go buy it at your local store. What makes the gut health so amazing for our dogs?
Yeah, so we have in our probiotic, we have 4 different strains of beneficial probiotics that are in the probiotic balance. It's called Balanced Gut probiotics. And we actually have a bundle where we bundle it with pumpkin powder and pesticide-free pumpkin powder. And basically what that does is it clears out gunk that may be stuck in the intestines and the gut of your dog. So it clears that out. It also is an anti-parasitic. So if there's any nasty parasites in there, whatever, it kind of clears them out as well. And then the probiotic helps to reintroduce the beneficial bacteria into their gut. And a lot of times, if you feed your dog kibble, they're not really getting the beneficial bacteria, or they're not getting the nutrients that they need. And a lot of times that burnt kibble, especially if you've been feeding kibble for a long time, is that you need to have kind of like a cleanse. And that's what the gut health package kind of does with the probiotic and the pumpkin powder. It kind of cleanses the gut and at the same time reintroduces these beneficial bacteria and probiotics.
I love that you talk about parasites, because we're seeing this on the human side as well right now. There's so much going on social media, advertisements on all platforms. The parasites are not only coming with us, but also now within the dogs. And it's very hard to know if that if the gut health is linked to that. And it's something where when you find a product that works, you're really finding that you may have that problem. So it's kind of scary to think about. So with spring right here, summer's coming up, we're traveling with our animals, and a lot of you are listening going, oh my gosh, my dog does not travel well. They have anxiety. They don't travel on a car. Or, with obviously from where I'm from in Arizona, with monsoons, you have that kind of sense of anxiety. You have calming options. Everybody has to have this product. I'm telling you. Give us the details.
So we've had a ton of success with our calming CBD product, and there's a lot of CBD products out there. And what makes ours different is that we use an RSO, which is an alcohol extraction, which leaves a lot of the beneficial plant matter in it. So there's chlorophyll in it. Chlorophyll helps to alkalize the blood. And with the calming blend specifically, we also add terpenes that are calming. So for example, there's linalool in there, and linalool, you probably know of lavender. right? And
Mm-hmm.
lavender essential oil. It's very calming, right? Well, we've extracted the linalool, which is a terpene, from that lavender essential oil, and that's also in there, along with a couple other terpenes that are very calming and relaxing. So if your dog has issues, we have a lot of dog groomers that sell our products, and they sell this to and encourage their clients to give the dog the calming CBD the night before they take, they bring their dog into the groomer. This would be great for vets also. They give it to their dog the night before they have to come in, or 4th of July is going to be coming up soon,
Mm-hmm.
right? Fireworks, all that kinds of stuff. So especially dogs with separation anxiety, give it to them in the morning. They'll chill out, relax. When you get home, they haven't been sitting there panting all day, waiting for you, shaking to get home. They've
Mm-hmm.
been relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
It is good for the dog's nervous system and their overall health.
I think when we hear CBD, we've come leaps and bounds when it's from human grade. But when we think about giving it to our pet, I think there is kind of, again, a miseducation of what CBD is, what it can do for a dog. I love that you talked about separation anxiety. We're now having a lot of dogs that are coming up called COVID dogs. Our dogs have been home with us for many, many years. A lot of people are going from that transition of being in an office to working from home, and now they're having to return back to that office. For a lot of us, our dogs are not used to being away from us longer than running an errand or, maybe going out for a dinner. So, can you kind of ease our minds a little bit on the safety of CBD and education of CBD?
Absolutely. So THC is not good for dogs, and THC is the intoxicating part of the cannabis plant. CBD is more the medicinal part. So with our products, they're all full spectrum. They all have a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of THC, but not enough to negatively impact any dog. So that's a good benefit there. And a lot of people are confused because they think, oh, CBD, just marijuana, and it's definitely
Mm-hmm.
not.
Mm-hmm.
There's no intoxicating effects that come from CBD. And everyone has endocannabinoid system. They have endocannabinoid receptors, and same with dogs. Dogs have an endocannabinoid system and endocannabinoid receptors too. So they're beneficial plants out there, and cannabis and hemp, they're just one of the beneficial plants.
We're going to go into a product. We're talking about hydration. We're always told drink your
Yes.
water and make sure you drink your water. It is getting very hot temperatures. It is something we always worry about. I
Mhm.
know so many of us as dog parents, pet parents, we always say, are you hot? It's interesting because my dogs had a play date and I had a friend of mine come over with her dog and she's like, how do you know when your dog is hydrated? And I'm like, interesting. And it was funny to ask that and to hear that in just a regular form of conversation as our dogs are being wild and being silly. And it's funny when she Googles because you go down this, dark hole of are they panting? Is their tongue out? Are they warm? Are their ears? But it was an interesting question to be asked. How do you know if your dog is hydrated? And you have a product that focuses on hydration.
Yes, absolutely. So one thing that people need to understand is that they need to stop giving their dogs tap water. And if they drink it themselves, they need to stop as well. So there's a lot of chemicals in tap water, and the pipes leach other chemicals out into the water. So first thing first, stop giving your dog tap water. Give them filtered water. If you could, give them alkaline water, right? So the most important part about hydrating your dog is that the more water they drink, they're able to flush toxins out, and they're able to alkalize their body by drinking more water. And we have a product called Recover and Hydrate, and it's actually in our canine cancer support package because our big focus is helping dogs with cancer. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the CBD and this product work hand in hand because what the CBD RSO does is it causes cancer cell apoptosis, which is cancer cell death. Well, what happens after a cell in our body dies? It needs to be excreted out of our system. If the dog is dehydrated, it's very difficult to do that. So giving a dog the product Recover and Hydrate, which is basically electrolytes and amino acid complex, will encourage them to drink more water. Now, we have two dogs. Both of them are fosters, and one of them is a pit bull, and she loves to drink water. She is
Mm-hmm.
hydrated, and she wants to go out and go to the bathroom every couple hours, right? Our other dog, our Rottweiler Mastiff, she doesn't drink a lot of water. And this product is great for her. She's a bigger dog. She's like 100, 110 pounds. And, she needs to drink more water. So this product encourages her to do that. If your dog's urine is really dark yellow, that is one way to tell that your dog is dehydrated and needs to drink more water. So your dog's urine should be a very light color, if not clear.
Hmm. I think we're told this a lot. I know I've been told this in the past of, my dog tends to drink a lot of water, but then they start to, almost overdo themselves and they will vomit or, especially with Frenchies, they'll suck it up the nose because they're right in it. And it's interesting because I've been told by so many people in just regular community and friends and stuff like that of stating, oh, well, just remove their water and give them ice cubes. But it's interesting because you have this fear of like, but your dog is not taking in that hydration. And especially with the warm weather and stuff like that, that can be very dangerous. In working with, and being a huge part of the community, whether it's French bulldogs, whether it's, I had my poor senior, now she's passed. I got her when she was 3 days old and bottle fed her. I had no idea what to do. And then as she grew, I'm like, oh, I'm going to have a really big dog. But I think with that fear came a lot of issues because I wasn't sure what to do for a smaller dog versus a larger dog. You take that guesswork out because everything is labeled and it has all of the information based on the weight and all that. It brings me to there's a lot of illnesses, there's a lot of things and diseases and a lot of inflammatory things going on within the body. There is a product that I really want to focus on being from Arizona because a lot of my dear friends, their dogs have been diagnosed with valley fever, which brings seizures. Seizures are so scary to see in your animal. You have an anticonvulsant product. Let's talk about what does that do and where did that come from?
Yeah, so that specifically came from our human line. We had people with epilepsy that, asked us to develop a product to help them. And a lot of people that use it, they use it on a daily basis. Some of them use it as an emergency only. If they start feeling an epileptic seizure come on, they use it right away. They carry it with them. And it's the same thing for dogs. We have pet parents that give it to their dogs every day. They've been able to get off Keppra and phenobarbital and some of these other, pharmaceuticals that make their dog kind of lethargic and out of it. One of our customers, her name's Barb, and she has an older dog that started getting seizures out of nowhere. Just the dog started getting seizures, having multiple seizures a week, and she started using our product. And I remember the dog went 30 days without a seizure, and she was so happy and so excited. And she was able to take the dog off phenobarbital and Keppra, and the dog started going on walks again. Because she was telling me that it couldn't even walk around the house without bumping into walls. It was just kind of zoned out, like it was, drunk or whatever, and having accidents inside the house because it just wasn't all there. And now the dog's, hiking again and running around again and back to its normal self. And, she told me she's still having smaller seizures, not as frequent, not as intense, right? Dog's not soiling itself. It's just, but it has improved a lot. So this is we call it NeuroCare. It's our anticonvulsant tincture. So it does have CBD, CBD RSO, and then it has a lot of the calming terpenes as well.
I always wonder with, the pharmaceutical things that we're putting in dogs, it still does damage elsewhere. And we don't really know what that looks like in the body. We also don't know how our dogs are going to react to it. So I love that she's able to have a sense of her dog's personality come back without that fear and that risk. Another big one, because we all need to have our dogs on this because I learned my lesson with my senior, is hip and joint. We always seem to wait until they hit that senior age to have them on some sort of a supplement. Now with myself having a dog she was born without, her lumbar vertebrae. She is paralyzed. It is a cause of concern for me, especially. It's why, I first reached out to you guys thinking, okay, all of her strength is in that upper body and that shoulder. So how do we keep them as healthy as possible? Does your hip and joint work with all ages? Do you suggest a time that we should probably start?
So I would suggest starting even when they're young. Like our dogs are on that. Our dogs are really active and we want to make sure that they don't get hurt. And, our dogs they're both 5 years old. So they're kind of in the middle of their life, I guess. Hopefully they live a lot longer, but, making sure that they are getting the proper nutrients that may not be in their diet. And that's why we supplement. Right? That's why we made these supplements. And we do have a joint and mobility food topper, which is based on nutrition. And then we have a joint and mobility CBD. And the cool thing is, though, all of our CBDs, right? We have a calming CBD. We have a CBD RSO that's just specifically for cancer. We have the joint mobility CBD, but all of them can be used as a preventative for cancer. All of them can be used as an anti-inflammatory and a preventative for arthritis. Multiple ailments that are solved using these tinctures and providing these supplements for your dogs, because we all want our dogs to live long, happy, healthy lives, right? And with proper supplementation, they're able to do that. Just have
Which
better
brings
quality of
us,
life.
yeah, which they deserve. It's hard. They can't talk to us. Man, I
I
wish they
know.
could. Trust me. But it brings me to the cancer support. I think of, I worked with you guys on the human side for everything that I needed. I shifted and really took focus on cancer because, I always thought with canine cancer, it affects the dog when they're older, right? And I had a friend of mine that had a dog that was a senior and she was 13 and she's like, I think she has cancer. And we always think of that like end of life. And my little man, he'd passed away a month after his second birthday. But the hard part was I had no signs. It was just
Yeah.
a runny nose. It presented as a cold. And within a matter of 16 days, I had lost him. And I always remember thinking, there were no signs. Like I didn't have any signs. But I think that that's key is for cancer, there are no signs. Sometimes in canines, we don't have those immediate
Yeah.
signs. And I wanted to really bring focus to canine cancer because it's something where you don't have to wait until that moment. And like you said, everything within your cancer support, it's a preventative. So for those that may be listening thinking, I have to have this, I want to be able to prevent this, give us a little bit of a background for this cancer support.
Yeah, so a lot of the times, like you said, dogs can't talk to us. And if they're having internal pain or anything going on that we can't see, we really don't know what's going on. So giving it to them as a preventative is very important. Some cancers, you can tell. Like we had recently a dog named Bailey, and Bailey's mom Christine, the dog had a hemangiosarcoma, which is cancer of the mouth, and it was actually they could see it in the back of the throat, and the only way she knew is because the dog was having a hard time eating, right? Because the food was getting blocked by this tumor that was in its throat. Fast forward 9 months later from using our products, the cancer is completely gone. And that's one that's you can easily tell because they open the dog's mouth. She sent a picture and I'm supposed to be interviewing her next week, but it's like she has before pictures for the vet and you can see this black, dark like lump that was in the back of the dog's throat. And now the new pictures is that it's completely gone. So, and that's just one type of cancer, right? There's so many different types of cancer that you can't really tell. With that
Mhm.
one, you could. But if your dog has lumps and bumps and, there might be other cancer in different parts of the body. So,
I think that's key is most of the time, like with mine and so many now that I've connected within the community, is most of our canines carry things internally that unless you see a symptom or something that really sparks an interest, we're not going to deep dive in there and really see that oftentimes until it's too late. So I know so many people are listening and they're like, okay, I have a puppy or I have a senior, or I have, multiples. I mean, in my household, I have my female that has IBD. So we're always trying to figure out things to help her gut health.
mhm.
My youngest boy, he has some growth concerns. He was the runt, so he's kind of delayed and we're really trying to get nutrients. And now I have my girl that is, paralyzed. I know so many are listening and thinking, okay, maybe I didn't start this as soon as I wanted, but you can start now. So super excited for this news. Where can people order this? And how quickly can we get this started?
Yeah, so that's something that, this is something I'm super excited about is that you and I have partnered on Rue and Crew Nutrition. So one thing that we're looking to do is to help dog rescues and people like you who support dog rescues and provide financial support using our products. There's a lot of subpar products out there that people are buying on Chewy or PetSmart or wherever, right? This is an opportunity where, dog rescues can get some funding and share in the revenue and also provide better products, higher quality products to the dogs that they love and the foster parents that are supporting these dogs. So this is something that we're very excited about. And I believe your new website is ruandcrewnutrition.com, right?
Yes, very excited. My boy that passed was Rupert, so he was always called Rue, and now the crew that came after him has really motivated me to find something that works because I never want somebody to stand in a room like I did and just think we're coming in for another form of medicine and you leave without them. I'm so excited to partner with you guys. I'm so excited to work with so many other rescues and nonprofits and even bigger companies that people are stating I never knew that this was out here. I wasn't educated. So I love working from special needs rescues to just our regular shelters to international rescues. We're changing the game of canine health because I don't think we're truly educated in how we can do it. But now through this podcast, not only have you been educated, but I really hope this kind of sparked an interest of why have you waited so long to see what natural healing that you can do for your dogs?
Absolutely. So I highly encourage everyone to start reading the labels of the supplements that you're giving your dogs. Look and see if there's any fillers in there. Look and see if the company is actually testing for safety, testing for pesticides and heavy metals and mycotoxins and microbials, because if you're giving your dog a product that has pesticides in it, that is counterintuitive to what you're trying to do for your dog. You're trying to keep your dog healthy, and giving a product that has unhealthy ingredients in it is just not good. So I highly encourage everyone to take a look read the labels, see if the products have safety testing, and not just for your dogs, but for yourself as well. So
Yeah, run and grab from that medicine cabinet, that container, whatever you keep everything in. I'm going to be asking this question because I know you guys have this on your brain. Trust me, because I'm not coming for this as a partnership. I'm coming because I'm truly a pet parent that has truly every different option possible. Like I said, if they have it, this household has it. I'm coming to ask this question now as a pet owner who's listening because I know they're going to want to know this. How do we know that this is going to possibly work for our dog? Because like with me, if my dog has an issue, it's going to be that rare occurrence. So let's say somebody is interested in ordering, they're just a little bit nervous to try this. What kind of information can you give based on that for the safety and their dog?
yeah, so we do offer a money back guarantee, and we don't have any issues giving people refunds. And it's sometimes, with the canine cancer stuff, the 10,000 milligram RSO, it's not cheap. And the canine cancer support package, it comes with 5 different products, and it's not cheap. And we've had dogs that just didn't get the help soon enough, and we gave them a refund because their dog passed beforehand. We haven't really dealt with customers trying to return products after they've given it to their dogs because the joint mobility stuff, like their dog starts running around again, the anti-inflammatory CBD, the dog is acting more like itself. And so we haven't really dealt with people trying to return any products at all. The only one we have an issue with is our immunity mushroom blend. And that one is also in the canine cancer support package. But for some reason, some dogs just don't like the taste of that one, and they'll refuse to eat their food with it, with the immunity mushroom complex. And I do remember us refunding one customer with that because their dog just wouldn't eat it, and that's okay. So we have a daily nutritional product that does have one mushroom in there, it's turkey tail, and that's an anti-cancer mushroom. And that one seems to work just fine. And it's not as strong with the mushroom flavor as the immunity mushroom complex is. So that would be a good substitute there.
It's also great to point out you guys have amazing customer support. It's not service after you order, it is support. So if you have questions, you are there to answer those questions. Again, you're not a veterinary, provider for that opinion, but you're standing behind a product that not only is important and it works, but you're also providing support with questions and concerns.
Absolutely. So we do have canine nutritionists that work with us that we refer people to. We do have holistic veterinarians. We're looking for more veterinarians. We actually have a couple, more traditional veterinarians that have started stocking our products and giving, selling our products to their customers as a first option instead of the pharmaceuticals. Hey, let's try some natural stuff first, and then if that doesn't work, we can get, you can get the pharmaceuticals, but
Love that.
we're usually
Well,
pretty successful there.
I always throw a question out, which is funny because we kind of thought about, talking before you came on, and that's just not how Little Bit of Life podcast works. We just go off the cuff and throw it in. So I want to end this podcast because I know you guys are going to say, okay, well, I want to go look at the price. Trust me, I've been there. And I'm one of those people that thinks, okay, if I can get a product for this price, but I can go to the store where I don't have to wait, but I can get this product for this price. Please, like he said, look at the label because you don't really know that counterintuitive of what you're giving your dog. Oh, Michael, I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to throw a number out there and I'm going to explain why. And I want you guys to question this on your own. If somebody came to you right now, have you in the last 30 days spent $8.66 on anything in the last
That
30
exact
days?
number?
Just in general.
Oh, yeah, of course. Spent a lot more than that.
So the most expensive option with Ruin Crew Nutrition is going to be that cancer support bundle. If you buy that and let's say you go through it in 30 days, which is very quickly, but if you go through it in 30 days, you are spending $8 a day on the health of your dog and the possibility to extend your time with them. So if you're listening and you think this is really expensive, is $8.66 something that you just can't do?
So I'm going to add to that because it actually probably is cheaper. If you're looking to just prevent cancer, the cancer support bundle is really for dogs that currently have cancer. And it's got a high dose CBD in there, which is 10,000 milligram, which is a therapeutic dose. And you don't really need that to be a preventative. And especially if you're a Frenchie owner, because they're smaller dogs, so you don't have to give as much.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you have a lot of them.
Yes, that would be my household. We're multiplying and we love it.
So, and this is the thing with the preventatives, like the cancer support bundle with your dog would last probably about 3 months, so it's not really going to be $8 every day. It's going to be a lot cheaper. Because you're giving them less if your dog doesn't have cancer. Now, if your dog does have cancer, then you're going to be giving more of the CBD at a higher dose in the beginning. So in the very beginning, we want to basically shock the cancer. We want to cause, the cancer to stop growing and stop multiplying quickly. And that's what it does. It's a multiplication of cells that mutating unnatural, right? It's replicating, causing this tumor to grow. And we want to stop that. And that's what it does. It shocks it, it stops it from growing. And then over the course of months, 6 to 9 months, it'll shrink because the cancer cells are dying off and they're not replicating anymore. So they're not replacing themselves. And then after it's gone, then you can drop the dosage way down, going back to a preventative dose. So if your dog has cancer, yeah, it's going to be a little more expensive in the beginning, but not nearly as expensive as chemo and radiation. I've seen upwards of $10,000, $15,000 these doctors are charging for dogs, and they're not there's no guarantee there either. And the dogs still, unfortunately, are still passing. And it's really sad to see that because people are spending a whole lot of money without the results that they're expecting, unfortunately.
Yep. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I am so excited for this partnership. I know so many in the community. We have all worked together. We have cried together through all of our hard losses. We have laughed together, but I think we are all on a mission as pet parents because we want to not make the mistakes that we've made before as a dog owner. We want different because we want the health to be different for our dogs. Head over to Ruin Crew Nutrition. Please read all the information. We're going to have all the information there for you to be educated. Ask those questions and start now because your dog deserves it. And it's such an amazing feeling knowing what you're giving your dog is healthy. We have a little dance party every single morning and night. I'm like, what I'm giving you, you love it. And I know that I'm doing the right thing. And it's so great to start to see changes because I've noticed such a change just in my dog's IBD. It's just been within leaps and bounds to where a vet would say, we don't know what else to do. Try cooking for them. Try this, try that. And I was like, there has to be something different. And I know so many of you are listening, going through hard times, or maybe you just don't want to get to that point where you're like, man, like I'm starting this out as a puppy or from a senior. There's something for everybody. So start now. And there's no time that's better than now because guess what? They're not just a dog. They're our family.
Absolutely.
That's a wrap on today's episode. I hope you enjoyed our time together, and I want to thank you for sharing it with me and the guest. A huge thank you as well to our guests as well as possible sponsors, because we're stronger together, louder as one, and truly connected like a family. If you loved today's episode, please leave a review. Help bring others along for the journey with us. And don't forget to tune in on your favorite streaming platform every week. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, Little Bit of Life Podcast, so you can be part of the action and, yes, part of the interview with our video content. Thank you again for joining me, and I would love to have you come on as a guest. If you're interested, send me a message. Until next time, remember, be good to others, be good to you. See you next time.